It's Breakfast with Bob
and Pancho Man. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. We're brought to you by HOKA One Polar Halo Neuroscience, Velofix, Today's Plan, Normatec, Four Seasons Resort Hualalai, Triathlete Magazine. Our next guest, she's been 7th and 10th here. Give it up for Carrie Lester. Hey, you got a little audience coming. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Bob.
So let's talk about you. You come in 10th in 16, and last year you moved up 3 spots. A lot of times people get to that top 10 and then sort of go the other way. What'd you take off of the 10th place that helped you last year?
Well, firstly, I think I certainly realized how difficult it is to get into the top 10. Yeah. And, it's quite often, the top 3 places they're pretty well determined, I guess. I mean, coming into the race, you know who's in really good form, I think. And then, then you go to the top 5 and there's any mix of athletes that can be kind of in that top 5. And then you have, anyone can kind of make it up into that top 10. And if you can put down like a really solid day across all 3 disciplines, you have a good chance of getting into that top 10. So I think, in 2016 when I raced and I was able to put, a strong performance down, I don't feel like it was my best performance by any means. It was strong and it got me 10th.
Right.
And then last year, 7th, I think I put, down a performance that was, a little better than 2016. I still don't think it's my best performance here in Hawaii. So, again, it was just, another strong performance. I think I rode a little better last year, so that may have been what kind of got me up, those extra few spots. But, there's always certainly room for improvement. So maybe this year we can just nudge that one a little bit more.
You love the races over in Europe, right? Embrunman, which you won this year, and Optawez. No, what is it about those races? Because those are so unique. They're not your cookie cutter races.
They're certainly not cookie cutter races. I think, and I really wasn't exposed to those races, until I actually joined with Team TBB and with Brett Sutton back in 2012. I think was my first summer over in Europe, and we started. Going to those races, and I think Brett saw at that time, I was, stronger on the bike, and, those races were going to suit me with the challenging courses. The bike courses are hard.
Right.
They never take any easy route in a bike course. If there's if you need to get from A to B, there's no going around a flat way. They'll just go straight over a pass. They're not afraid of, making the bike course super challenging. So that's what I think, attracts us to that. We really like the tough courses. And then what you get, what you gain in fitness after that as well.
Right, yeah.
We go there, for about 10 weeks over the summer, and we just, try and do 3 and 4 races, or mostly the French races. They're hard, but the fitness that you gain from racing there for 8 weeks, it's, it really lays the base, particularly for me, like coming into Hawaii.
So Embrunman, tell me what that is. What?
It's certainly the biggest Ironman in France. It's in Embrun.
Okay.
And you basically ride. I think the bike course is 188 kilometers. Swim is the same, and the run is the marathon through the town of Embrun. And it's a very unique race because the swim, it starts at 5:50. The women start first. It's 5:50 start for the women, and we start 10 minutes before the men. There's about 80 women and about 1,000 men. And so it's great for us because we have a clean start, but you're swimming in the dark. So the first lap of the swim, it's a 2-lap swim. The first lap, you're in complete pitch
God,
black.
It's got to be scary.
It's scary for a lot of people. I think it's more scary for the men because you're in pitch black and you have 1,000 men
chasing you.
Chasing, and they're Frenchmen, and well, not all of them, but they're Frenchmen, and they're all, they're all excited, and they're so passionate about the race that, I mean, I can't even imagine. I see Scott. He talks to me about, the swim start and how nervous and how much anxiety he has over the swim start. And I think, I don't know what you're talking about. What's the problem? So I'm not in that mix of 1,000 men, when the gun goes off. Dark. But you're still swimming in the dark. So that's certainly what makes it special, though.
And then there's a lot of climbing, right?
And there is about 5,000 meters of climbing.
Wow.
I was looking for Scott to get the nod, but it may be just under that. But it's, the bike is, it's about a 6.5 hour ride time for like a strong female.
Yeah.
And then you have to get off and run the marathon. So the difference, in the course, obviously, in the terrain is that you never get a rest. You climb over one of the famous climbs that they ride in the tour called the Izzard.
Yeah.
It's about an 1.5 hour climb, and that's only like halfway into the race. So I always say that the race never starts until you get to the top of the Izzard, and that's about 4 hours into the race, and then you've still got another 2.5, 3 hours to go, and then run the marathon. So
brutal.
It's brutal.
And how long does the whole thing take?
I think the last few years I've done it. I've completed it in about 10 hours 40.
It's a long day.
It's a long day because, usually for us, we're racing at around the 9 hour mark.
Yeah.
That extra 1.5 hours to 2 hours is like...
It's brutal.
Brutal.
Yeah.
You're not used to it. Your legs aren't used to it. Everything is... You're not used to it.
But that's got to help for something like this. You're basically doing over-distance training. Yeah.
Mentally, it is the most valuable race that, I have in my calendar all year that prepares me for this. And also in that race, you're basically self-sufficient. There are volunteers out there. It is supported, but you don't know what you're going to get at the aid stations. You don't. It's not. You don't get. We're very lucky here. With the races. That Ironman put on there. We have so much help out there. We have so much aid when we need it. And this particular race, Embrunman, it's there, but there's no guarantee that you're going to get it. So you really have to be self-supported for that whole time. So you carry a lot of
your own stuff.
You carry a lot of your own stuff. You don't get Gatorade, and you don't get a lot of the foods and gels. There are gels, but it's nothing that you've had typically. You've
never seen it before.
You've never seen it. No, you don't know what it. You don't know what it is. You don't know what it is and what it's going to do. So those types of races, you've got to be self-supported.
And that helps here.
Certainly helps here because if things go bad, you know that you have the confidence to you can handle anything.
Right. So what is it about this race that you seem 7th and 10th 2 years in a row? What is it about this race that suits you?
I think it is a difficult course. I'm not going to say it's the hardest course I've done because it's not. I'd be lying if I said it is. What makes it difficult is that, you have all of the elements on race day that make it difficult, the wind, the heat, and then you're also racing the best athletes in the world. That's what makes it difficult.
Absolutely.
Everyone's here. Everyone's fit. Everyone looks like, they're lean, they're strong. Everyone's ready to race.
They're not training through this race.
They're not training through it, Everyone's at the same point in their season right now. Everyone's ready to go, so that's what makes it difficult. And it's good to race those people because throughout the year you're racing people that are at 70% fitness, or maybe they've had an injury and they're preparing for another race. Everyone's at a different stage,
right? But
Saturday everyone's here to race the world championship and they're ready to go. That's the hard part of the day.
Yeah, and when you look at it, what it used to be, you'd see the athletes sort of, the pros, be sort of spread out. And now the racing that happens between the Energy Lab and town, I remember last year, I think between 7th and 11th place was something like 1 minute and 19 seconds between 4 or 5 athletes on the women's side. I mean, you're an hour left in the race, and there's a lot of racing to be done.
Yeah. I mean, you see a lot of wheels fall off coming back from the energy lab.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's just, yeah, I mean, you get to that point in the race and you're sort of mentally and physically, you've kind of had enough. But it's a long way back from the energy lab. It's a long way back. And to be, you know, strong at that point, it's difficult. And, yeah, you know, when you're going into the energy lab, you start to see, I think that's probably the worst thing, is that you see where people are. And, yeah, then you need to obviously take a look at yourself and how you're feeling and just focus on yourself and get yourself through that, you know, those last few miles on the Queen K. But, yeah, getting that last kind of time check in the energy lab, it's not cool.
What would you be happy with on Saturday?
Look, you know, I get asked that, or we always get asked that question, and of course I'd love to be, you know, back into the top 10. I do realize how hard it is to get into the top 10. My dream would be to get into the top 5. You know, I do think I'm capable of it, but
yeah, no question.
There's, you know, 30 other girls that are capable of getting into that top 5 as well. This year we have a very sort of interesting and new women's field, I think. So there's, you know, a lot of new girls. Anything can happen. We have, you know, we have Rennie back. We have Meredith back. So, I don't know. Top 10 would be great. Dream would be 5. I just want to get through and, you know, put down a race that's been better than the last 2. That might only get me 15th. But if I put it down, and it's the best race I've had in the last few years, then my place is what it is.
Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Carrie Lester. Thank you, Carrie.
It's breakfast with Bob.
Love it.